What's going on, Charles Botensten? So we are going to be reviewing today a book that I'm telling you right now is probably the best book I've ever read in my life. And that's coming from someone that has read hundreds of books, maybe even thousands of books, and have been to probably $200,000 to $300,000 worth of seminars, tens of thousands of YouTube videos. And see, this is the thing, is that when I first started in self-improvement, self-development, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, there's a surface level. You feel like the environment, everything affects you, your external things affect you. Then you learn that the internal world actually affects the external world. And what Michael A. Singer says, and he goes even deeper, is that you control both. And you are actually not even your internal world, which is insane. So this book, you have to be ready for it. That's the biggest thing, is that if I read this, say, 5 or 6 years ago when it first came out, or I don't know when it came out actually, but I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. But I wasn't ready at the time. And I didn't read it then, but I would not have been ready. You have to be ready. You have to be a little bit further into self-improvement, spirituality, the actual self-actualization path. You don't have to be a complete guru in it, but you have to have at least the basic understanding, because otherwise it's going to seem woo-woo, because he talks about the subconscious mind as opposed to the subconscious mind as opposed to the conscious mind, in that we're actually viewing, we're the viewer of awareness. So I know I'm going to lose you. So we'll just first go into, it's an incredible book. It's linked below. But if you want to do anything first, obviously watch this. But then you go and you YouTube Oprah and Michael A. Singer, okay? And there's 4 videos. They're only 3 minutes each. And I'm telling you right now, it will change your life and it will force you to read it, because you watch those videos and you're like, mind explosion. You're like, holy cow! I've been feeling so much pain. I've been feeling so much suffering. I felt rejection was about me. I just reviewed The Subtle Art of, not giving a... And it's sort of the same thing in the fact that we care about a lot of things. Michael A. Singer breaks it down on why we care about too much. So number one is, you are not you. You are not your thoughts, okay? We already know that. We already, maybe we do or we don't. But essentially, that's what meditating is that we're kind of viewing thoughts as clouds. We wherever our attention is really our awareness, like in front of me, is what we're looking at, is actually you. What you're looking at, not what you're thinking, but what you're looking at is you. You're really just a bag of skin with thoughts, which are just in your brain, if you want to break it down, are just neurons and dendrites that just have electrical fires between each other, and you think that's you. The electrical signals between each other, we feel pain, suffering, embarrassment, shame, rejection, whatever the case is, happiness. We feel that is us. We tie it to us, our ego, our self, and things like that. But really, what we are is the awareness that's in front of us. It's already happening. And he goes even a step further, is that we feel that we need to change. This is one of the most important concepts in the entire book, is that we feel that we need to change the world to meet our internal expectations, okay? So what does that mean? So we feel that we shouldn't feel rejection in life, or we shouldn't be embarrassed, okay? These are, again, feelings, okay? They're real, they're things in nature, but they're not us, okay? We feel it, but we are not an emotion, we are not a feeling, we are not shame or embarrassment or whatever. And you're like, oh, I understand, Charles, that's, whatever. But this is what we do. So say we don't want to be rejected, and obviously rejected, I'll go further into why I'm putting it into quotes, but we don't want to feel rejected, so we don't make a sales call, or we don't approach that pretty girl, or we don't do something that we really, really want to do. You see someone that you want to say hi to or talk to at a networking event or a cocktail party, or you're out, or whatever the case is, and you have that fear inside, and he calls it a thorn. A thorn, it's kind of a thorn in your skin, and when that moment comes up, it gets pricked and you feel pain, and then you don't do it. So you see someone you want to talk to, and then you say, no. So you change the external world to meet your internal dialogue. I don't want to feel pain, so then you change the external world by not doing that. by not being someone, by not accepting things, okay? The world is always changing, yet we think we should just keep everything the same. Everything is the same. The world needs to be perfect. So we need to change the outside to match our internal dialogue of the way it should be. So say we are, we think that we're too young to get into sales. We're too young to start a company. Well, so what we do is we get old enough, we go into corporate, and then we get old enough, and then we say, you know what, actually, I don't want to do that. We change the external world, or we don't do anything in the external world to meet our internal dialogue, so we don't start a company. Here's an example, is that when I first started in real estate, in 2009, I said, I didn't come from money. I said, I dress like shit, I'm not smart enough, I don't have any wealthy friends, I don't know how to talk like the wealthy people and whatever, and I'm in New York City, so there's plenty of that. And I would change the external world by not talking to them at cocktail parties, not trying to take on that kind of business, or not dressing like them. All right, so I changed the entire external world to meet my insecurities inside. So how do we change this? Two things. Number one is complete and utter acceptance. I was trying to say obsess. Complete and utter acceptance on the way things are. Okay, the world is absolutely perfect the way it is. And I'm not talking about social issues. People always say social issues and try and put their things on that. But the world is perfect the way it is. You're born, just look at your body. That's really what he talks about. We're on a circular piece of dirt flying through the middle of nowhere, and we feel that when we pick up the call to call someone, that is us, and that we need to feel pain and everything that happens to us that we need to feel, and we are it. So complete and utter acceptance of what is. When someone passes away, when your business goes out of business, when what you have goes out of business, if there's a recession, if someone breaks up with you, it's like, you're trying to change their mind. You're trying to change them, force them to do something to stay in a relationship, or try and change that there's not a recession going on. So you try and change the external world, and then you feel pain because there is a recession, or someone broke up with you, or there's bankruptcy. And I'm going to go over his other book, which is The Surrender Experiment, and he actually has his whole life on how he lived with complete acceptance. Okay? Number two is, to go along with the surrender experiment, is just surrender. Okay, so here's an example, is that so I own a real estate company here in New York City, and then when a new agent comes on board, I say, okay, you have to make sales calls. Okay, so if they were completely just open and they were accepting of that, they would surrender to whatever the outcome happened. So the outcome would be, no, I don't want to list with you. No, I don't want to do business with you. No, you're too young, or you're whatever. We have to, and it's really hard. This is not overnight. This is every single day I work on it, which is complete acceptance of what happens. Like they said no. Are you trying to change your internal or external world to meet your insecurities of rejection or shame or embarrassment or humiliation or anything like that? So I'm just going to go over a couple points because I know that the video is going way too long. Number one is that realize that you're in your mind, but you are not your mind. Okay, you're literally just watching a movie, and which is life, and that's the awareness. That's the consciousness. That's just seeing the attention. Whatever the attention is in the outside world is actually what you're viewing. You're just viewing it, and then you have thoughts coming in between the awareness, which is, I don't like them. This is a bad situation. I should get out of here. They are mean to me. I just was rejected. And those are thoughts and feelings that are coming in. Okay? Complete acceptance, non-judgmental. Number two is realize that we're not okay in here. We try and, like I said, we try and change the external world because we have insecurities. We have, as Michael A. Singer calls it, we have thorns of rejection. Whether we had a good childhood, a bad childhood, we were loved or too loved, or we were entitled, or we had a bad upbringing. Whatever the case is, this is the third thing, is that we're always trying to be okay. Is that, for me is, I always thought that I should never feel pain. I should never feel embarrassed. I should never feel rejection. So I was never okay inside. So I tried to change, like I said, the external world. Is that we're always trying, and the reason we're doing that is we're always trying to be okay. We're always trying to be okay. Number 4 is realize that your mind is taken on the job of figuring out how everything needs to be for you to be okay. Okay, so our mind is trying to figure out, okay, we need to change this. We need to avoid those situations. Our mind is essentially putting up barriers and walls and areas that we go outside and then we come back in our comfort zone. We're like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do public speaking. We don't want to actually progress our relationship forward by saying I love you, writing a note, or learning a little bit deeper things about them. That's vulnerability, and we don't want to feel that. So we don't do it. So we change the external world, like I've talked about 3,000 times. Is that, I don't know if you've ever been in I forgot the name of the seminar, Landmark, Landmark Forum or whatever, it gets a bad rap and everything, but I did it, it was good. One of the 2 things that they talked about that really hit me is, number 1 is that most people are, if there's a stadium of people, most people are the viewers of life. They're the viewers. They feel that what's happening in front of them, they have no control over. They are just not accepting anything, and they just view life. And they're just drone. They just go through the Durr state, as I say. They just go Durr, and they just go through life. But the people that are truly present, the people that are really doing something, are the ones that participate in life. They're active participants in life. They actively say they surrender to what comes into their life. The good, the bad, the accepting, and that's what they do, is they accept it. They're non-judgmental, what comes into their life. I guess this is a learning lesson. How do I learn from this? All right, and I'll just leave you with this, is that once you feel the energy pulling you into something, we always talk about our passion and what fuels us and everything else, is that what you think about most of the time, as Earl Nightingale says, is what you become. But that's also the place you want to go. So I have a friend that he's a coder or a programmer, or computer programmer, but he really likes biking and playing piano. And I said, dude, you got to do that. You got to do that. The thing is, that's where his heart and his passion is. And there's plenty of people that have made a living. Do you want to make tons of money and be Billy Joel? Or, and play piano at MSG pretty much every single month and sell it out every single month? Do you want to ride professionally? Do you want to do both and make $100,000 in each area and have a side business and code on the side? Then do that. Where does your heart, where does your energy, where do your thoughts go? That's where you that's what you really want to do. And actually surrendering and accepting of that is the hardest part of it. So you have to pick up the book. This is, I'm gonna say it, it's probably the best book I've ever read in my life. So read The Untethered Soul. It's linked below. I'm about to, I can't even talk right now. I'm about to do his other book, which is The Surrender Experiment. I also got the Audible edition, and I just literally saw every single one of his interviews. So have an awesome day. Talk to you guys soon. Subscribe to the videos. Leave your comments below.